friends, welcome back to the channel. I hope you guys are all doing really well. So this is a little bit late, but this is the second part to my old school April video for like things that I'm planning on reading and watching this month. So far for old school April, I've been still super busy at work, but last week seemed to be kind of the last going off of everything that was super busy. So I had been concentrating more so on watching movies for the first part of old school April and finishing up some books that I was working on. And now I'm going to move into reading some more out of my vintage collection that I'm super looking forward to. So I wanted to go over the movies, kind of what I watched already, and then get into kind of what I'm planning on reading and watching for the rest of the month. So like I said, it's off to a little bit of a slow start reading wise, but Matthew and I have been having so much fun watching movies and shows and everything, so I want to get into that first, and then we'll get into the rest of my TBR. So movies wise, we've really been enjoying watching what we've picked out. So we're not going on any set TBR, TBW or anything. We're just kind of winging it and just really enjoying putting on a movie. Kind of like today is Sunday, so we put on a movie Sunday afternoons and stuff, and we've watched some comfort shows and comfort movies, but we've also watched ones that we haven't picked up in a really long time. So of course, as part of old school April is watching shows from when we were growing up. And last year I actually didn't do a rewatch of Buffy, so we've started our rewatch of Buffy, and you know, we're still in the first season, but we've been really enjoying it. So we've been doing that. I've been doing my annual, or kind of semi-annual, I guess. We didn't watch it last year, but the year before. We've been rewatching Road to Avonlea, which is a beloved Canadian favorite. So if you don't know anything about this one, this is kind of based around the town that Anne of Green Gables is based on, and it kind of revolves around Lucy Maud Montgomery's books that have to do with the story girl and her stories. So it's such a comfort show for me, and you know, I've been really super stressed out for the past few months work-wise, and you know, I'm coming out of like some health issues and stuff, so putting on things that are really comforting both with Buffy and with Road to Avonlea has been absolutely fantastic. Sorry if you can hear my washer in the background, it is laundry day today, so super laid back video. And then besides that, I've been wanting to put on something else. I'm not really sure what I'm gonna pick, but when I'm out thrifting, a lot of times I have been finding some seasons of shows. So one out of the 3 that I've kind of picked out, I do have seasons of Darkwing Duck, so we might put on some of those. We might put on some episodes of Sabrina. I thought that would be a really good old school April tie-in. And the third one is Family Matters. So I was really big into the TGIF lineup on Friday nights when I was growing up, so I might put on some Family Matters. We might work in some Are You Afraid of the Dark there. So we've been like kind of loosey-goosey with the shows that we've been watching. Buffy is our big rewatch, and like I said, Road to Avonlea I've been kind of dotting in here and there. And then the other ones I've just kind of been wanting to throw on, you know, just an episode or 2 along the way, not like a binge rewatch as we're doing with Buffy, but just kind of, you know, putting on something every once in a while that we can have in the background, even if we're, you know, doing other things like putting together puzzles and stuff. So I haven't really been too strict with myself on the activities that we've been doing, but you know, sometimes we'll be building Lego or coloring or whatever, and I like to put shows on in the background for that. So as far as movies go, so we all know that my host recommended choice has been The Cutting Edge, which was kind of, you know, a big one for me, and then also The Ninth Gate. So we haven't rewatched those ones yet. It's still 2 that I would like to work in, and I've been really excited that a lot of people in the comments of my original old school April video have said that they've been looking forward to either watching or rewatching The Ninth Gate. And a lot of people said it'll be their first time, which is fantastic, and a lot of people have said that they haven't watched it for years and years, so it's kind of like a rediscovery. So we haven't watched, well, The Cutting Edge I watch every year, but we haven't watched The Ninth Gate in a couple of years, so maybe we'll put that one on tonight. It is kind of like a, you know, a Sunday evening kind of movie, kind of with those vibes and everything. So those are my host recommendations. And I'm not going to go through all the movies that we want to watch this month because this video will be way too long. But I do have kind of like a theme within a theme. So the theme, of course, is old school April. I've done the rewatch of Girls Just Want to Have Fun. Matthew and I watched Problem Child together, which is one that neither one of us have seen in years and years. And there's some other ones we've gone through already. Hackers is another big one. But I kind of wanted to do a theme within a theme of some of my movie watching. And I wanted, well, and my reads too, somewhat. So I've been really looking forward to reading and watching things that have to do with music, and so either musicals or the storyline revolves around music somehow, or movies that have really, really great soundtracks that, you know, I have in my playlists on Spotify, and they're still on regular repeat, like in our house. So I have a stack of movies picked out already. I'll probably go through some that I don't have the physical ones that I would really like to watch. And then with my books, it's going to be kind of the same sort of thing. So let's get into the movies first, since we were talking about that already. So the first one is Mortal Kombat. So this is actually the triple pack. So this has the first one, Mortal Kombat Annihilation, and Legacy. So really the first one is the one that I wanted to put on. I do like Annihilation as well, but the first one is the one that I wanted to put on because the soundtrack for that movie went so hard. And it's such a cheesy 90s movie, but it's one of my absolute favorites. I always loved martial arts movies as a kid, and this one is one of my absolute favorites. So I believe I watched it, was this my host choice for last year? I think Mortal Kombat might have been one of my host choices for last year as well. But if you've never listened to the actual soundtrack, you could get most of the songs on Spotify, and the theme song for one is one of my absolute favorites. So we have that one. This is more of a Lizzie by herself kind of watch. So I have Dirty Dancing, of course. This one I haven't seen in years and years and years, but I remember listening to the soundtrack when I was growing up, and so I thought I'd throw this one in there. This one might be a watch on my own kind of one. I'm gonna lay this one aside for a sec, and this one. So the next one, of course, is Labyrinth. So, you know, pretty much once a week I put on a few songs from this particular soundtrack. So this, I mean, Matthew's seen it 100 times as well, but it just brings me so much joy and comfort. So definitely putting that one on the list. I've got, so this is another Lizzie by herself watch. So Phantom of the Opera. I'm a huge Phantom fan, and I haven't seen this one for a really, really long time, so I wanted to throw this one on. I'm not sure if this one actually qualifies as part of Old School April. I can't remember when it came out. It might, because if it was before 2006, of course. So I want to throw that one on, like I said, just for myself. And then 2, possibly 3 biopics. So I have an undying love for music from the 50s and 60s, and if I'm not listening to heavy metal, I'm usually listening to like oldies, classics, rock and roll. So the 3 biopics that I wanted to put on, I found this one at the thrift store, Matthew's never seen it, is La Bamba, but also Great Balls of Fire is one of my favorites, and the Buddy Holly story. So of course 2 of those kind of tie in with the day the music died. So Matthew's never seen any of these, and he didn't know a lot about the history of like the plane crash and stuff that took the lives of kind of 3 of the big ones from during that time. We watched a Grim Life Collective. Actually, they do a really, really good, they have a really good episode on like the Buddy Holly plane crash. And so I wanted to put on the Buddy Holly story, La Bamba, and like I said, Great Balls of Fire is kind of like on the outskirts of that, but still takes place in that time period, and it's one that I really, really love. So definitely wanted to put those on. I think it would be really, really good for Matt to watch too, because he doesn't know a whole lot about that period, and it's something that I really, really love. So that's kind of like outside of, you know, when we think about Old School April, we're usually thinking about the 80s and 90s, but my love for old school kind of goes back a little bit further than that. And then along the same lines is this one. So this movie is one that not a whole lot of people know about or talk about, and it's super cheesy, but it's one of my absolute favorites, and the soundtrack is fantastic. The costumes are fantastic. Absolutely love it. And that's Cry Baby. So that kind of ties in with the whole 50s and 60s sort of theme. So this is Johnny Depp, and it's funny because I remember watching an interview, a panel interview with Johnny Depp when he did Sweeney Todd, and the reporter was asking, like, you know, how he thought about being in his first musical and stuff, and he's like, well, I was in this little movie called Cry Baby back in the day. And so this is fantastic. If you've never seen it and you have a love for kind of the music and the, you know, the clothing and everything from the 50s and 60s, this is one that I would highly recommend. I love this and I love the music. It just makes me so happy. And then moving kind of into the 60s, I also have Pirate Radio. I love this movie so much. So I not only love the music that has to do with this movie and the storyline and everything, but it's also another kind of historical tie-in that has to do with the pirate radios of that time period. If you've never seen this, this is fantastic. It's a little bit obscure to find, which I find is really odd, because when it first came out, it was super popular. So this has Philip Seymour Hoffman, Rhys Ifans, and Kenneth Branagh, and a whole bunch of other really big British actors. And I have this soundtrack. A lot of the songs from this soundtrack are on like one of my main playlists, and I absolutely love it. I haven't seen this one. You know, actually I bought it first off someone in my community, and I didn't realize that it was outside of the area. Like I couldn't get it to play on my DVD player because it was a British copy. So then I finally found this one at the thrift store, I think last year, and I put it on. But I'm really excited to put it on again. I haven't seen it all that much. I've only seen it 2 or 3 times, but it's absolutely fantastic. And then, you know, kind of within that sort of the storyline itself has to do with a lot of music. I have School of Rock. This is one of my favorite movies. It's a movie that I love putting on Sundays, so I might actually put this one on today. And I love it. Jack Black and the kids, and they form the band and the whole thing. And this is another one that makes me smile. And of course, the storyline itself has to do with music. It's not just, you know, just the soundtrack is fantastic. So, yeah, that's pretty much it for movies. That kind of goes with that theme within a theme that has to do with music and soundtracks and all of that kind of stuff. So that is a very small stack of what I'm planning on watching during Old School April. We have a lot of movies and shows and everything that we have to get through. But like I said, I didn't want this video to take forever. So let's get into some of the books that I have on my pile of possibilities for this month. So kind of extended from that theme of music and music within movies and soundtracks and all of that kind of stuff, I really wanted to pick this one up for Old School April. So this is not an old book, this is a modern book, but it has to do with the Satanic Panic, of course, which happened during years within Old School April. So this is Fat Press presents a spectacular optical book, Satanic Panic, Pop Culture Paranoia in the 1980s, and this is fantastic. So it has a lot of imagery. So we have Nightmare on Elm Street here. It has a lot of fantastic photography and album covers and all kinds of stuff. I just realized I just showed some nudity, so sorry, I had to cut that out. So I really wanted to get into this one, Trash TV. I'm just talking about Trash TV because it kind of has that tie-in, like with the music and the pop culture and all of that kind of stuff. And I remember the Satanic Panic that had happened in the 80s. Of course, there was a lot of it that had to do with prior to that, but I think this would be a fantastic accompanying read. And also there's prompts that have to do with reading nonfiction that I can put in with that. So really super excited about this one. And then the other one that I might like to put on, I haven't reread Helter Skelter in the past couple of years. So I think I reread it in 2023 was the last time I read it. It could have been 24, but I believe it was around the end of 2023. And I like to put on Helter Skelter when I'm on my drive back and forth to work, so I might do that, which has kind of that tie-in with my theme within a theme as well. And I'm kind of having some veins of demonology within my TBR and TBW. You know, out of my host recommendations, I have Rosemary's Baby, we have Ninth Gate, we're reading about Satanic Panic, and then Helter Skelter as well. If you've never read Helter Skelter, I believe it was one of my host choices from last year also, and it's really fantastic. It's probably one of the best source reads that you can get on the Manson murders, so I would highly recommend it if you haven't read it yet. Okay, getting into some of the fun reads. I definitely, of course, we want the Christopher Pike, we want the R.L. Stine and all of that kind of stuff. So I have The Witch's Revenge, which is the next one up in the Spooksville series that I have to read. I've been reading the Spooksville series on audiobook, and I've been reading it on my Everand subscription. If you guys would like to try out Everand. I do have a discount code. It's always linked in my description. So this is number 6, The Witch's Revenge. And I love this series. It's very, very spooky. And it's about this group of kids, and they live in this place that's nicknamed Spooksville because all kinds of creepy stuff happens there. So I wanted to read that one that's next up. If you haven't picked up the Spooksville series, I would highly recommend it. It definitely has echoes of Pike in there. It's a little bit off the wall. It's a little bit more sci-fi than horror, but it does have a lot of horror elements in it. So I'd highly recommend that. I'm still very much in my ghosty phase, so I wanted to pick up either a Mary Downing Hahn or a Betty Wren Wright. So I went with this one. This is a Betty Wren Wright, The Ghosts of Mercy Manor, which is an Apple paperback. And it says, Gwen is determined not to like her new foster family, but surprisingly, she quickly feels at home with the warm, comfortable Mercys. Yet as Gwen begins to feel part of the family, she realizes that a terrifying secret lurks in the Mercy home. It is haunted by ghosts, a sad young girl named Rose that beckons to her, and a pair of desperate men frighten her. What is the secret of Mercy Manor? So these are like super, super short reads because, you know, between the Satanic Panic book and Helter Skelter, I wanted to kind of break it up with, you know, some kids' books. One of my host recommendations, of course, is one of the Creepover books, No Trick or Treating. So I don't think I'm going to read this one. I wanted to pick up one that I hadn't read yet. So this one is Best Friends Forever. It is number 6 in the series, and it is a number 5 on the Creepometer. So I always talk about the Creepometer on the back of the Creepover books that have to do with like how scary it is. So I'm super excited about this, but even more so than that, it has to do with creepy dolls. And I've really been feeling creepy dolls lately, so I think probably starting in May I want to read more creepy doll books. So this I think is a really, really good segue. And just looking at the shelves of creepy dolls here, it reminds me of one of the rooms at Mystic Manor that I was at last summer, and the entire room is filled with dolls. They're all haunted, and so this kind of ties in with that as well. So really super excited to pick up a Creepover book. And then, so like I said, this is a pile of possibilities. I'm not sure if I'm going to read these ones. I might pick up something else. I might pick up some of these and some ones that I don't talk about. But of course I wanted to pick up one from Fear Street. So a couple of years ago, this was years and years ago, I started doing a reread of the Fear Street books. So this is the next one upcoming kind of within that reread. So this is The Wrong Number. It began as a prank and ended in murder. So I believe this is book number 5, if I'm not mistaken. 5 or 6. So super excited about that. And then to go along with my Buffy rewatch, I did pick up a Buffy book. So this is the next one in the Brown series. I've read the first, this is number 3. So I read the first 2 in the Brown series. So this one is Coyote Moon, and it has to do with this creepy carnival that comes to Sunnydale. And it says, Buffy senses something evil behind the carnival. Xander and Willow aren't so sure. They don't buy Buffy's notion that the carnies are somehow connected to the corpses turning up around Sunnydale. It doesn't help that her 2 best friends are also interested in someone at the carnival, which puts the burden of proof on Buffy. Can she find out what's going on in time to save her friends, or has the Slayer become the prey? So again, super, super short. I could sit down and read this in absolutely no time, and it still has that tie-in with my Buffy rewatch, which I'm really, really enjoying. So that's pretty much it. Talked about some shows that I've been putting on, some movies. So I've been watching like my regular old school April kind of movies, but also have this theme within a theme that has to do with music and soundtracks and all of that sort of thing, and some history and biopics, and then some spooky doll books, ghost books, Buffy books. So I'm really super excited about the rest of April. Like I said, I'm kind of coming out of that busy period now with work. Friday was a big day as part of one of the campaigns that I'm working on, and it's kind of coming to an end. So I'm super, super excited. And probably starting next weekend, which is the weekend of the 18th, we'll be doing some hangouts and sprints and that sort of thing. So let me know if you guys have read or watched any of these books, if you're planning on reading or watching any of these during your Old School April, or if you picked up any of my host recommendations. I would love to chat with you guys down in the comments like always. So if you like this video, give me a thumbs up. And of course, as always, stay spooky, everybody. Bye.